All right, guys, we are back
All
after
right.
a tough Super Bowl loss. Heartbreaking for everyone involved. Eagles players, obviously, coaches, fans. We're pretty
Yeah.
bummed out about it, but yeah, we still got to talk about it and see what happened, what we did wrong, what we might have been able to do better to position ourselves better at the end of the game to win. And there's a long list of things and plays I think we could go over that everyone's focused on and everyone's been talking about. But ultimately, my bottom line is that we were outplayed and outcoached in the second half specifically. But got to tip my hat to Pat Mahomes, to Andy Reid, scheming things up. Figuring out answers to our defense, and Pat Mahomes just in general being the best player in the NFL. I mean, it's
Yeah.
insane how good you can be as a team. You could be as talented as the Eagles are. You could be as talented as some of the teams in the AFC are that they beat. The Bengals, the Bills obviously are over there, and they've played them in the playoffs. And it's just every year, Chiefs have been changing and players have departed and things like that. Mainly, this year's Tyreek Hill, their big time wide receiver, and they still go and they win a Super Bowl. So they're the model of consistency, the model of success right now in the NFL, in a league that is so based off parity. They're the team that continues to compete, put themselves in the right positions, and it's not always been sunshines and rainbows for them. They've lost, they've had some heartbreaking games in the AFC Conference Championship game, and then even in the Super Bowl as well. So continuing to give yourself chances is the only way you could stack up rings and get 2-3 shots at it. You might win one, you might win two. So at this point, they've been in the AFC Championship every year since Pat Mahomes started, and they've won Super Bowls. So that's what it takes, and that's kind of the model of consistency that every fan base, namely us, as we're talking about the Eagles, we want to try to copy that. Continue to get those high seeds in the playoffs, continue to get home field advantage, and continue to be in those big games and be able to give yourself a chance to win. Steve, what do you think of the game? I know you got a lot to say about it, but just wanted to sum that up there to start out, and then we'll get more into the details. So, Steve, I'll let you go. I know you have some stuff.
Yeah, I do, but no, you're right. I mean, I think the adjustments and the coaching, and to me, what the Eagles, the big advantage that the Chiefs had was the coaching staff, of course, their experience, them being there. Patrick Mahomes obviously being, the best player in the world, in my opinion. We were saying that before the show. I mean, I know we've been saying that for years. The big advantage the Eagles had was probably the positional and the matchup and the D line. And to me, I felt like it was a calamity of things coming together that really, hurt the Eagles' chances. And I'm just going to say it, the grass, the fields, guys slipping around. You don't want that in the Super Bowl. So it just, to us, to me, our big advantage was that. And that is something that obviously impacted every play of the game. The Chiefs had to deal with it too. So it kind of felt like that was a bit of a wash where, they couldn't get their footing really and generate pressure. We couldn't either. I mean, both quarterbacks had ample time to throw. Both quarterbacks played phenomenal. And so, okay. All right, so we're having problems with the field. Then it's the second half comes. We need to make some adjustments. And Jonathan Gannon, certainly this year, really hasn't, shown many adjustments and frankly hasn't need to. So then it's like, okay, we're not blitzing. We're not getting pressure on the quarterback. We're not dialing out the blitz because that's just something that we really haven't done. And we're not making those adjustments really in the red zone. I mean, I thought that our play calling there was really suspect. A lot of single high when you're kind of playing that shell defense. And the point is to kind of really, stop them, use the sidelines as an extra defender, use the end zone as an extra defender. And we didn't really do that well. Most of there's 3 touchdowns where a lot of them sort of trotting in wide open on those passing, not, adjusting to the scheme. So the Chiefs, however, they played in the second half, going up into the second half, that they had a really big stand to hold us to a field goal at the end of the first half, which was great for them. And then the next, they go down, score, we get the ball back. Again, in the red zone, they played really well at the end in the second half, and they kind of stopped us there. So to me, it was just really frustrating that, a big strength of ours really got taken away, and we didn't have and our inexperience from a coaching perspective really showed where we didn't make those adjustments that Reid made to the field and the Chiefs. So you got to give the Chiefs credit for doing that, but it just stings a little bit more knowing that, our biggest strength was that front four, and then watching them slip around every other play, it's like
Yeah, that was
it
tough.
just sucks.
Yeah, I saw a video just earlier that Jimmy Kempski put out, and it really highlighted the slipping and the not being able to get your footing and playing fast. And really, it neutralized the pass rush, right? And it didn't mean that like Jalen Hurts went off too. The Eagles' offense went off too,
Yeah.
right? So both defenses were kind of affected by the fact that you couldn't do that. But the problem is that once you do that, once you say, hey, both quarterbacks are going to have all the time in the world, then you're going to give the advantage to Pat Mahomes, the more veteran quarterback. You think about it, the Eagles still committed the turnover. Jalen Hurts untouched, fumbled the ball for a touchdown. So that was, when you take those advantages, the pass rushing advantage away that we had to get after the quarterback, it came down to who was going to be more poised and just go about their business. And it really was the Chiefs, because they've been there before. They didn't make those crucial turnovers. They made the scheming adjustments to score consistently, and we couldn't stop that. So, it put a lot of pressure on our offense to be perfect, and to expect our offense to be perfect at the ages they're at the inexperience they're at. It was an insurmountable task. And the only way we could make their offense not be perfect was keeping them off the field, which we did really well in the first half. But we needed a pass rush to get them off the field, and we couldn't. We couldn't get them off the field. Once they kept getting on the, coming back to having offense in the second half, they scored every time. And in the first half, it's not like we were really shutting them down. We made them punt once, and that's the only punt I think they had the whole game. And it was similar to what happened when we played them in the regular season in 2021. They put up 40-plus points, and I think it was close to 50 even. And we just couldn't they didn't punt once. So I think with coaches leaving, it's going to ignite some sort of hunger in, I think, the front office to bring in a coach that is going to be different than what we just saw, and try to be able to do some of the things that maybe the coaching staff that the Eagles already had in place wasn't doing so well. It's not just going back and teaching the guys like, hey, look, next year you're gonna adjust, you're gonna remember to do this, you're gonna get better at this. It's gonna be completely new guys. So I think Gannon did a pretty good job with this defense, but the one flaw that he had was when we played tougher veteran quarterbacks, his defense didn't fool them. And unless we were getting an immense amount of pass rush, then it wasn't. I mean, and that's really how you beat every quarterback, right? Like, you have to get a pass rush. But Jonathan Gannon is not the type of defensive coordinator that knew really like how to make those adjustments to create something that wasn't working in the first place. A lot of the games, the Eagles are just on defense, playing well. What they're doing is working. So like you said, they don't need to make those adjustments, but in the times that Gannon has had to make adjustments, he has failed to do so. And now he's got a head coaching job. So we have to bring in a guy that we're going to, hopefully see more of that mental wherewithal or cerebral ability to recognize something isn't working and make the right adjustment. And that's what coaching is. When it comes down to it, I think the Eagles are going to have a great team next year. They're going to keep most of the team together, but it's going to come down to those big games. What do you do in those pivotal moments? Are you the team that fumbles to give up a touchdown? Or are you the team that picks it up and runs it in? Are you the team that settles for a field goal or doesn't convert on third down? Or are you the team that converts that third down and gets that touchdown and makes the catch that Quez Watkins dropped? And there were so many. Remember the year that 2015 when we started all this, and we used to always say either the receiver runs a bad route, it doesn't create separation, the QB makes a bad throw, or the QB doesn't get time. Like, it was always one of those several things where we would have like a laundry list. Like, man, if we just made one of these 5 plays that went the other way, we probably would have won the game. We'd lose a game by a possession, and it would be because we fumbled, we had an interception, we dropped an interception, we had a holding call on a certain play that shouldn't have been. Like, those are the types of things and when you have 5 of those that go against you in one game, you're probably going to lose by a small margin. And that's what happens. So I think the Eagles can bounce back and come back, but they need to. I think that's what the biggest thing is going into next season. If you want to pivot kind of into next season, is you got this experience now. You saw the mistakes you made. You felt what it was like, the pressure in those big games, the pressure during the Super Bowl, the week leading up, the whole season trying to stay ahead of your division and keep pace in the NFC. They have that experience now. So it really is only going to be a waste if they blow it and they don't utilize that experience and they don't build on that experience. So for me, I think that the Eagles' expectations should be the same as what they were this year. Well, at the end of the year,
Yeah.
to go deep in the playoffs and give themselves a chance to go to another Super Bowl. And there's no reason that they can't. I don't think the NFC is some crazy conference that, everyone talks about how we had a weak schedule and we didn't play anyone in the playoffs. Well, it's going to be the same teams next year. It's going to be the same teams. Like, no team has changed much. No team is going to get there's no one player that's going to be added to any of the NFC teams that's going to make them unstoppable. So it's an open conference, and that includes us. You never know. We're not going to blow through everyone. I mean, maybe we will, but who knows? Anyone can have that kind of year. So I think it's wide open, and you just need to give yourself a chance. And then when you get to those games, I think you're going to see a lot more. And I want to know your opinion on this. Do you think we see a more mature Nick Sirianni throughout the regular season? He did a lot of celebrating and very animated on the sideline. Do you think he could maybe kind of like reel that back a little bit and really be like, look, I've been here. I've done that. Like, we're going to win games. I'm going to be excited with my team, but like, I'm all business. Like, I feel like there's a maturation that's going to happen this season. They're going to get a new sense of like, we're the team, we're the Chiefs of the NFC, right? That's what we want to be, right? And Jalen Hurts has that kind of mentality in him. Sirianni loves winning. He absolutely loves football. Do you feel like we're going to go into a situation next year where we're seeing a lot more of that mature team, or do you think it's going to be like the last couple Super Bowls that we've been to where the year after isn't so good and we kind of fall off and, it's kind of the end of things?
No, I think I think there will be a maturation process. I think they're going to learn a lot from this. And the thing with with the coaching staff, I think, there's so many defensive coordinators out there that have a ton of experience. And this is a very attractive job to come to. You got a really good offense that can run the football, keep your guys off the field. And of course, the D line that we have and the young players, the upside there with the secondary. So there's also a really good opportunity. You have a lot of guys coming off the books as well. So we have those key pieces in place, specifically on the D line. CJ Gardner-Johnson's top priority for them to re-sign this year. So just assuming that obviously he's going to be back. So I think you have a really good opportunity here to kind of, you have a really good core in place, but you have an opportunity to really sort of set a tone and a kind of a new direction on defense. You're going to get great pressure from that front four. And I think a lot of times when you lose a game like this in a heartbreaking fashion, I put this loss really on the coaching staff more than anything. A little bit on the grass too, as I alluded to, but that, you have an opportunity here to really capitalize on what's our identity going to be on defense? What are we going to do? How are we going to scheme up outside of dropping 7 and just letting our elite front four cook? Because there's going to be games where those front four cook off. And they did that both games in the playoffs leading up to the Super Bowl, which was great to see. So I'm really excited to kind of get a little more, change it up a little bit with the coaching staff in a sense, especially on the defensive side. But we saw, the greatness of Jalen Hurts in this game. I don't think any moment's too big for him. He's been in all these big games before. So I'm really excited to kind of see what they learn from this. And I think the coaching staff should really kind of, look inward, at least at the guys that were here and like, okay, well, what could we have done differently? And Reed's great. He's been doing this for so long. This is not, and he's made a ton of mistakes that he's learned from. And it's made him to the great coach that he is, today. So I'm excited to see what this coaching staff looks like with some veteran leadership. You got the quarterback. You're continuing to build the trenches every single year. That's Eagles football. So you have a really good core in place, and you have some flexibility to progress forward and really establish an identity.
Right.
Yeah.
And by the way, we don't have a choice but to hire new coaches because both our coordinators got hired. So
yeah.
I mean, there's no wondering if we're going to fire anyone. It's it's set in stone. We have to figure it out. We have to fix the coaching staff right away, and I think that's priority number one. And then you mentioned Jalen Hurts being a guy that has seen these big games, has been in big games, and no moment's too big. And I think that's worth all the money that he's going to get. Now, keep in mind, however, that the money cannot kick in until 2024.
Yep.
His next year of his deal is going to be the rookie contract, and then the extension will kick in after that. So they're going to go all in again. They're going to move money around. They're going to shuffle guys around. They're going to use what they can. They have 2 first-round picks again. And it's funny because, last year, the free agency wore on and no one really knew. And there's holes in the team. And little by little, they're picking guys up. And one of the last pieces we picked up was James Bradbury. Mm-hmm. So you have to keep in mind that, not right away. Everything doesn't have to happen right away with filling holes. You can wait. You can let guys come to you. Howie Roseman is going to get creative this offseason because you have such a good core. And, something that's not attractive to fans in the offseason and appealing to on social media and on these shows is continuity, but it's bigger than you would think. It's not something that is fun to talk about. Like, oh, we just have the same guys coming back, but that's going to matter. Like, think about it. Last year, we were holding our breath, hoping for a weapon. Now we know we have Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert. Like, we don't need to swing for the fences or land some big lucky move to build this offense. We know what we have. We know we're building it. So there's not going to be as much to talk about in terms of new additions to the team, huge signings, but they're going to get creative. They're going to add a few pieces here and there. They might add something on the defensive side that helps them get younger. I think that's going to be the goal on defense, is help them get younger. Most of the defense is built through trades and free agency. So maybe you'll see drafting more centered around defensive players. However, like I said, there's going to be curveballs and creativity from Howie Roseman to help little things of this team get to that next level. And I think one of those things could be drafting a running back. I think that there is a crop of running backs out there in free agency. There's a deep draft of running backs. And I don't think running backs are going to be to have this large market. So I don't know, maybe he re-signs Miles Sanders for a decent price. Maybe he drafts a running back. I don't really know, but I think that it's not going to be like some scrap heap bum. You know what I mean? I think certain positions where you're looking at like, oh, they're going to lose a player or they might not value that player. I think this year is going to be a little different. I think they're going to try to load up again, really. I think they're going to try to make this another special season because they still have another year's grace with Jalen Hurts' contract not kicking in. So I think Howie Roseman's going to restructure some deals, make some moves, and I think that they're going to value positions that you in the past might not have seen them value because of the fact that they were so close to winning, right? Imagine you add one of the top running backs in the nation to this team to replace Miles Sanders. Yeah. It's like, wow, and no one could stop our offense last year, right? Yeah. So why not maintain it? Why not keep it up? And then, on defense, obviously, like I said, that's going to be more crucial. But anything added to the offense, maybe a slot receiver, maybe another wide receiver. You obviously have Zach Pascal departing in free agency, only signed a 1-year deal. You have the offensive core set. So any offensive piece is just going to be an extra weapon to just throw at defenses. And we'll see what happens. So it's going to be coaching, getting our guys extended, and then letting the chips really fall where they may in free agency and the draft. It's going to be such a fun offseason because we have an identity. This is something Eagles fans aren't used to. We've gone into a lot of off seasons like, man, we really need a weapon. We really need this. We really need to figure out quarterback. We've had distractions with Nick Foles and Carson Wentz recently after the last Super Bowl. After the Super Bowl in 2004, we had the T.O. distraction, and then we kind of fell apart and had to rebuild that team. This is different. This feels like the first time that early 2000s team made the NFC Championship and lost that. Yeah. Everyone kind of knew, like, okay, they lost, but they played a lot better than people thought at an earlier age than people thought. They need to take advantage of this window, and I think you're going to see an offseason that's going to be a lot of fun, some shakeups, some positivity. But you have Jalen Hurts coming back. You have this core coming back. You have the offensive leaders coming back. You have the coaching staff in terms of the head coach, some of the positional coaches getting promoted. You have a lot of carryover, and this team all has Super Bowl experience now. They know what it's like in those big games. And it's just going to be a lot of fun to see this identity have not be tampered with too much. You have the identity. So you bring in guys that fit that, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see how it all shapes up. And I think we're going to have all off season to talk about it, so we don't want to get too deep into things. Sure. But
that's just the piggyback lastly on that point is that you also have the luxury of you probably could have won the Super Bowl there. You're in the game. You can get a lot of free agents that are going to come in on a 1-year prove it deal, right? And get that, and probably give you a little bit of discount because they want to go get another contract. So that is the luxury that the
Right.
Eagles have this year.
And it's kind of what worked for us last year. You see guys like Kaiser White,
Yeah.
James Bradbury, who saw something in the team. Like, okay, this could be a good place where maybe I don't stay long term, but I help them win. I help them be successful. They're building something. They're going to give me some money, and I'm going to go play for them and earn another contract elsewhere. And that's on a great team like the Eagles. That's what guys do, or veterans at the end of their career who are looking to get one more run in and try to win a championship, like Ndamukong Suh did this year. So like you're right, like everyone's always, if you ain't first, you're last. Oh, you didn't win the Super Bowl, so nothing matters. No, it matters. It matters to show that you're a contender. Usually, when people are like, oh, they're cap strapped or this or that, usually good teams are spending a lot of their cap. Usually good teams have money tied up in players, and that's what the Eagles are going to do. They're going to push it right to that brim. They'll figure it out, and they'll come into the season. Howie Roseman always comes into the season with his stuff plugged in, whether it's one of those veteran 1 year guys, whether it's rookies drafted. They have 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick. I mean, Howie Roseman's very well prepared to keep this window open this time around. And the biggest thing is Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, and I think a lot of these moves this offseason are going to be retaining your core and then, again, additive on, whereas last offseason, as we know, lots of big external moves. But that means you got something cooking really good if you're doing that.
Exactly. And you're right. It's going to be a lot of keeping this core in place and trying to make another run, but making just some moves here and there to, create some internal competition. You bring a guy in, some of the rookies coming in are going to create some competition, vie for some playing time. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be it's an off season to it's heartbreaking to lose the Super Bowl, but I cannot say it was a waste to go to the Super Bowl.
No.
Until I see how this thing plays out. I don't think it's over. I think this team is going to prove a lot of people wrong and that said it was a fluke and it was just an easy schedule and all this stupid stuff that people were saying all year. The media, maybe some rival fans chirping all year saying that, they got lucky or the team was just stacked, whatever that's supposed to mean. I think you're going to see it again. I mean, get the excuses ready. Look ahead of the schedule. We're a very good team. So a lot of the teams that, come in are not going to look as good as us. That's kind of how things go. And we do have a couple nice, we'll get to the schedule later on. We have some opponents. We'll get to it in another show down the road, but it's some worthy opponents for sure. The Eagles are a darn good team. And if they keep this core together, which it's going to be looking like they do, you're going to have those same excuses. The team is still going to be pretty stacked. They're pretty darn good if you look from top to bottom on our roster, the guys that are in town and all that. So, I mean, it's going to be another year where the Eagles are around. The Eagles are competing. The Eagles are one of the better teams. So, I'm looking forward to it. I know it's tough to move on from a Super Bowl so quickly, and I'm obviously I'm still thinking about it. Like, man, what if we would have done this different? And obviously all those things, but I'm sure the team doing the same thing. One thing we learned about this Eagles team and this culture with Jalen Hurts and Sirianni is that they care a lot and they give it their all. So I know they're going to be right back to work. That's something I don't have to worry about.
Yeah,
chemistry, none of that stuff. So I'm ready for it. Fly Eagles fly.
Eagles fly.
Good show today, Steve. Anything else to add?
Well, my birthday was yesterday, and all I wanted was an Eagles Super Bowl.
Yep.
But I guess Jonathan Gannon leaving was a good consolation prize, I suppose.
That's true. That's true.
But no, you know what? It's a bummer, but onward and upward, and really good core together. They built something really special here, and they're gonna keep going. So, it is hard to get back to the big game. The Chiefs know it more than anyone as a good team, but they're building something special here that is primed to be good for the next 4 or 5 years for sure. So it's really, really exciting time. So we got a lot to look forward to. And this was such a fun season. Probably just stings a little more because my Phillies also lost the World Series. So it was a tough year for Philadelphia.
No, I know. And then the Union lost that soccer championship.
On the same day.
Yeah, oh man, it sucks to lose championship, but come on, the standard's rising. Our standard now is to go back to these championships. I mean, look, the Phillies got Trey Turner.
Yeah,
that stuff matters. Being competitive, having top players on your team, and being competitive, having guys that are
cool with guys around the league. I mean, I know Bryce and Trey are a little bit close off the field, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah, that's
same
correct.
thing. I mean, you see how many guys shout out Jalen Hurts on a daily basis on social media, guys that, are like, I don't know why people doubt him so much. And a lot of guys, like, when you have a good leader and you're a good team, a lot of guys are going to be drawn to that. And that's what's building in Philadelphia with these franchises. And you see the same thing with Joel Embiid. I mean,
Yeah.
James Harden is a product of having Joel Embiid being competitive. Getting him was part of that. And those guys connecting on, a level of, friendship that goes beyond just on the court. So anytime you can, start building a culture like that, it's exciting, it's fun. And, that's what all the great franchises have. That's what all the great franchises in pro sports have. So we just got to keep building that, keep supporting as fans, like showing them, that we have that love for the teams in the city, and the right guys are coming and competing for championships here. And I can't wait. I'm excited for the Phillies too. They're coming back, and we'll watch them. We'll hope they make a run, and then next Eagles season, it's time to strap in and do another run, and hopefully we're going in Red October again. So
I mean, Philadelphia's definitely has put itself on the place, in the eyes of a lot of people from the outside, where maybe in years past, since that's the Super Bowl run, and then the process ending where they got Jimmy Butler and like they actually went on a playoff run. Like, this is Philadelphia is cool to play in, and we've always known that growing up, but people are really starting to see that now.
Yeah,
really exciting time.
So social media makes
all Philadelphia sports.
Yeah,
maybe not the Flyers, but everyone else, very exciting time.
Yeah. So social media made Philadelphia a great destination because of all the content that we put out, like the tailgate videos, people organizing those tailgates with the players' wives coming to them and stuff, like what Fourth and John's been doing for years. And it's just getting bigger and bigger. And it matters. We both work in digital marketing, social media. Social listening is very much a part of a brand strategy. And they hear us talking. It's funny when they signed James Bradberry, the posts they put out on Instagram and on Twitter and stuff was like all the screenshots of Eagles fans saying, "Go get James Bradberry when he got cut. Get Bradberry, get Bradberry." And it was like boom, and then it was like, we got him, signed him and stuff. Like, that stuff really does matter. Like, they play into like fans and consumers, and we have that urgency. Philadelphia is that kind of city. People that aren't from here, don't get it, never came here. They don't really get it. But like, Philly fans are very passionate about their sports, and that translates to the teams having that urgency to build contenders. And that's why you're seeing the Sixers as a regular playoff team that, at least wins a series every year. Hopefully they can make another, make it past that. The Phillies going to the World Series, the Eagles going to the Super Bowl, making playoff runs, making, all these teams making signings and trades and trying to outdo each other, almost like they're competing against each other for the headlines and the spotlight. And being the best team in Philly is a pretty cool thing. And I think that a lot of athletes know that, and it's only just going to spread. And I really do think this year, for all those teams that went to the championship, the Eagles, the Phillies, and even the Sixers with their playoff runs lately, it matters. It matters, even if you lose, because it continues to build Philadelphia up and have players want to come. And maybe we'll never be the New Yorks or the LAs or whatever, but we'll always have something like special here for us, and that's all we can ask for. So on that note, fly Eagles fly. Let's go Phillies. Fighting. Ring the bell. Sixers. I'm about to actually watch the Sixers because I put a parlay in on them. So let's tune into that.
They're on national TV again tonight.
Love it. They play Cleveland. It's a good matchup, and I picked the Sixers to win in my parlay. So hopefully they do it. And I'll see you guys on the flip side. We'll see you guys later. And
we'll
keep
be back next week.
Keep your heads up. We'll be back next week. We'll figure out something to say. We'll probably have more news on the Eagles coordinator searches. We kind of already know what's in line, so we'll talk more about that. We're talking all things Eagles all off season. We're not going away. We're not hanging our heads. We're coming right back and trying to take the throne. Period. So Chiefs, watch the throne because we're coming, baby.
Yes, we are.
Fly Eagles fly.
Fly Eagles fly.
This week.